Lisa Adams.
And I'm Mike Ruzzi.
On behalf of Erie News Now and WQLN, welcome to Election 2025, a debate in the race for Erie County Executive between incumbent Brenton Davis, the Republican nominee, and Democratic nominee and challenger Christina Vogel.
Now, before the program, candidates rolled dice to determine who will give the first opening statement and take the first question, and to determine the order of the closing statement. So Christina Vogel won the toss, elected to go first. Brenton Davis will go first when we have time for the close.
Each candidate throughout the debate will be given 2 minutes for their opening statement, 1 minute to close, and 90 seconds to answer the same questions, with 30 seconds for rebuttal if requested. Mike and I will also ask follow-up questions as warranted. We will rotate who answers each first question with each round of questions.
We are ready to go.
And so we're ready to begin, so we'll turn to Christina Vogel for her opening statement.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mike. Thank you to Erie News Now and WQLN for having us here. My name is Christina Vogel, and I'm running to be your next Erie County Executive. I'm a small business owner, a community college advocate and board member, and most importantly, I'm a wife and a proud mom of 3 teenagers. Every day, 24 hours a day, I'm impacted and surrounded by our youth, at home, at my business, and in the community college. And I want to ensure that we're providing them and you with opportunities to thrive in this beautiful county we all call home. Erie County government is about people, from the Office of Children and Youth to the seniors at Pleasant Ridge Manor, from the health department to the library. It is about providing a strong foundation where we can all succeed. I grew up in a small town in central Illinois surrounded by cornfields. My mom left when I was just 6 weeks old and times were tough. I was raised by a single dad, my grandparents, but really the entire community. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college, and I continued my education earning an MBA from the University of Illinois. I have over 20 years of financial management experience, including with the Office of Management and Budget at the state of Illinois, and now I'm a local small business owner, the first and only solo woman franchisee for Donato's Pizza. But what I'm most proud of are my 3 kids and the work that I do in the community. From the PTO to the Girl Scouts to the Autism Society to the Community College Board, I have been committed to creating a stronger community for all of us long before I ever decided to run for office. My journey out of poverty is a result of hard work, a commitment to education, and trust in a community. I bring those values with me in my lived experience as a wife and a mom, which are just as important as being able to create a budget, understand financials, and provide human resources. And they make me uniquely qualified to be your next Erie County Executive. I look forward to sharing more about myself, my qualifications, and my plans with you today.
Thank you, Christina. And now the opening statement from Brenton Davis.
Hi, folks. Your Erie County Executive, Brent Davis. It's been an honor to lead you through the past 4 years. I assumed office, taking office at the height of COVID. You know, the highest amount of infections, deaths, uncertainty, and a closed economy. The first thing I did upon taking office was, 1, I unmasked our children in schools and gave the freedom of choice back to parents as opposed to government dictating what is best for families. Second, I opened our economy because, like my opponent, I am also a small business owner, and we all felt the crushing nature of business shutdowns inflicted by the previous administration. But the county executive's office is bigger. It's a regional role. It's a regional leadership role that shapes opportunities. It shapes our community, but it's not clearly defined. As county executive, you must address things that arise. It's challenges like, when I assumed office, 40% of Erie County didn't have an ambulance when and where you need it. To in turn, we've invested millions to rectify those issues. It's things like a stifled economy, decades of managed decline, lack of investment, lack of opportunities. My administration has invested $6 million of your American Rescue Plan money through our Economic Development Department's Municipal Gap Fund to leverage a $43 million return in infrastructure, saving you tax dollars. It's investing in things like our unhoused residents that struggle every day with homelessness, opioid and drug and alcohol addiction. It's things like education, and most importantly, fiscal responsibility, to which we returned a $4 million surplus from last year's budget. And as you all recall, in the final moments of last year's year end, Snowmageddon 2024, where we had 38 wildfires that led into record snowfall. There's many responsibilities of the county executive, and I look forward to sharing how we've dealt with those challenges successfully despite opposition and obstacles. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the first question goes to Christina Vogel. So you talked about your ability to budget. Let's start with that. The county's had some difficulty reaching consensus on budgets in the last few years or agreeing on the role of veto power. There are lawsuits over the 23-24 budget and the 25 budget. What's wrong with this process, and if elected, how would you fix it?
Thank you, Lisa, for that question. Yes, so the budget is not a weapon, right? The budget is a list of our priorities of how we determine the goals for Erie County. Every single budget that my opponent has put through has been the county council has chosen to sue him. So right now there are 3 lawsuits. He lost the first one. It's been appealed. He has appealed it. But right now we can't have a balanced budget, which is the whole point from the Home Rule Charter, which is basically the Constitution of Erie County. He cannot follow the rules. He cannot send a balanced budget to county council so that they can approve the process that we need to move the county forward. It is a fundamental, basic part of his job. How would I be different? I would actually communicate with county council, and that's how we would solve the issue. There's no reason that you cannot work with the county council. This county executive will not talk to them.
All right, we'll turn the same question to you, County Executive. You've struggled to see eye to eye with council on budgeting. It has resulted in these lawsuits that are still pending or appeals are pending. Is this the way you want to do things? Is there a better way to do this going forward?
I would say, let me be clear to the folks at home. When you educate yourself on issues, and that's important to do as county executive, you have to look at the crux of what these lawsuits are about. I mean, one, my opponent is endorsed by the very Democratic majority that wages these lawsuits. I haven't started any of these fights. I haven't unnecessarily spent taxpayer money. But these are the obstacles and oppositions that we talk about that are deeply rooted in politics. But you have to get down to the crux of what these lawsuits are about. One, these folks are, the county council majority is suing to raise your taxes when it's not needed. And the proof was in their own audit when we returned a $4 million surplus. If we're returning a $4 million surplus, why do you need to sue to raise taxes? They sued over things like utilizing $1.2 million in free money from the state government. That's revenue coming in that they slashed from the budget because they didn't know what they were doing. That $1.2 million, had I not brought it in, would have stopped 110 children from going to 74 loving families. Those are forever homes. When my opponent talks about these line items being people, that's accurate. I will stand and fight for hardworking people. I will stand for the taxpayers' budget, and I will stand for our most vulnerable, and that's what I've done in these circumstances.
And our next question goes to the county executive. On the day of this taping, you announced the 2026 budget. Does it hold the line on taxes, and how much did you have to delve into the rainy day funds?
Yeah, so 2026 budget just went down today. It was with no tax increase once again. Again, we used $3.9 million of unused revenue from previous years. So we had a $4 million surplus. So we actually still have $100,000 from 2 years previous. That's not counting the surplus that were returned from the year previous or this year. You know, we have a very healthy reserve in Erie County. Out of all the third-class counties in Pennsylvania, we have the second highest reserve fund out of every other third-class county in Pennsylvania. Our debt-to-income ratio is very high in terms of health. So in terms of our balance, we've held the line with no tax increases.
Christina?
So first of all, I don't know how you could say no tax increases when everybody knows there was a 10.9% tax increase in 2024. I mean, you know it, I know it, we all paid it. So that's the first thing. Second, I mean, the fact that so today they presented a budget. It's not balanced again, which is the basics of the Home Rule Charter to send a balanced budget, is fundamental abdication of the responsibilities of county executive. And second, what I would say is that he talks about the fund balance as if it's money in a savings account. It is not. 3 years ago, the fund balance was higher than it is now. He is not giving back any money to anyone, and he is using this money, which, by the way, $8 million of that is a receivable from Pleasant Ridge Manor that he knows will never be paid back. that is artificially increasing this. And the fact that there was any money at all to return is because of the tax increase that was done in 2024.
So I get a rebuttal there?
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm glad that my opponent brings up Pleasant Ridge Manor. I mean, again, being county executive requires experience and education, knowing what you're talking about. So the very crux of Pleasant Ridge Manor, if you do the research, the Board of Trustees is 100% the members of County Council. The county executive is only the president of that board, and under law, we absolutely must bail that out regardless of the outcome. When I came into office, it was $9 million in debt, which that was the crux of the tax increase, not to mention, I mean, supporting union wages. When you talk about cuts, these are line items, and that's all you can do. You have to play by the rules, and that's what we inherited.
Thank you. The next question is for Christina first, and we're sticking with dollars and cents here. So we've got no state budget so far, and now the federal government, on the day that we are taping this, has shut down. So what would you do to overcome any obstacles that might be heading our way that would take funding away from established programs and services?
So Lisa, what I would have done is actually plan for this months in advance, right? So as a board member of the community college, we have currently, months ago, we took out a line of credit just for this purpose. If we weren't going to get funding from the state and federal government, how do we continue operations, right? This executive has not done that. He won't talk with other people. You know, he wants to talk about experience and unions and all of these different things. I mean, I will tell you that I have been endorsed by 25 different elected officials, current and former, from county council members in Corey to Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, both of the living current county executives who have 28 years of experience, have looked at both of us and said, we want Christina. And the unions as well, 10 different unions, including unions that had endorsed him in the previous election, are endorsing me because they believe in my fiscal responsibility and what I can bring, because that's what I've showed over and over again in my own business and at the community college and elsewhere.
So just to ask a follow-up then, if you think the county hasn't adequately prepared for this, if you were elected, how would you handle that?
I would have started months ago. I would have talked with county council back in the spring, setting up if there was going to be, this is, you know, unfortunately, the state of Pennsylvania, this is not new, right? This is something that has happened many, many times. And for the federal government, this is not that new either. It happened in 2018. So you'd have to have contingency plans for when things like this happen so that everybody can be paid.
Brenton, how are you going to handle this? No state budget, and now the federal government shut down. Are you prepared?
So again, it comes down to experience and education. I think what my opponent just showed you is she has absolutely no idea how to handle this coming into this. So when it comes to planning, I mean, one, we have a $17 million reserve in DHS, but really to get down to the matters of it, we only use 3 to 5% typically on average over the last 12 years of state and federal funding. $17 million, which we have in reserve, which isn't a part of our county's reserve, is in DHS. We have enough just in that account to get us through. We've been through this before. We can get into February and March before even having to look at any alternatives. I mean, in terms of utilizing the community college, if they need a line of credit, that means that you're going to pay debt service. So you're going to not only spend, but you're going to continue to spend with interest. So if that's the case, we can utilize our funds, and I would loan to the Community College Board of Trustees right now that they come to county government so we don't have to pay interest on that money because we are financially strong and we can support that. A debt isn't the way to go in terms of paying interest. The other thing is we have the Stacey Garrity for treasurer has offered for smaller counties, which Erie County isn't one of them, that would need any kind of debt. But that's a 0% interest loan that she's willing to give out of the treasury for folks like Crawford County, Warren County, and some of the 4th, 5th, and 6th counties that don't have that ability. We have absolutely no projection to have any disruptions in services due to either the state or the federal budget.
And our next question is for the county executive. Brenton, are you concerned at all about the communication between your office, yourself, and council members, and should taxpayers be concerned about any friction?
No, I mean, I think to me, again, this is smoke and mirrors. You hear talks about endorsements, you hear talks about who supports who. I mean, I don't care about the dog and pony shows of endorsements. What I care about is you, the taxpayers at home, and earning your vote. You're the only thing that matters to me. I'm not beholden to unions. I'm not beholden to anybody else. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we have every opportunity to deliver for the taxpayers of Erie County, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Christina?
I find fascinating is he doesn't see that there's a problem with working with county council. And as a result of that, if you look at the 2021 budget to the 2025 budget, because I haven't seen 2026, is an increase in legal fees between the county executive's office and county council of over $330,000 just in that 4-year period, right? So ongoing, because we are paying, you, the taxpayers, are paying legal fees on both sides of that when they fight against each other. Not only that, there have been 8 lawsuits total with this administration. The previous administration, I don't think, had one in 8 years. He is fighting with county council. He is fighting with Diverse Erie. He is fighting with the library. He is fighting with multiple settlements that have happened. I mean, there's 8 total that are draining precious resources that we can't afford to lose from critical services to other areas. And I think that working with county council, when he won't even go to their meetings, when he won't talk to them, when you hear council talk about how he won't discuss things with them, that $1.2 million grant he talks about, that could have been settled with a phone call. It could have been settled with a budget appropriation instead of an illegal veto, which is what happened.
So I get a rebuttal.
Yes.
So I mean, one, that's not an illegal veto. And once again, my opponent shows she has absolutely no understanding of how county government functions, nor the importance of checks and balances the county executive veto. But get back to your point. You look no further than the state and federal government. If there's any belief that there's anything different going on in county government, we have a federal shutdown. We have a state budget that's months overdue. This is politics that we see from our society top to bottom. This has nothing to do with County Executive Davis or the current county council. This is just the nature of politics, and they've always existed. For every Kathy Dahlkemper, there's been a Carl Anderson or Fiore Leone, somebody that wants to throw monkey wrenches into the plan.
All right, the next question, Christina, is about the CRIS. Our region now does have the CRIS designation. What should the role of the county executive be in supporting the CRIS authority? And what development ideas or priorities do you hope will come from this tax capture and investment tool?
Thank you for that question. It's actually, the CRIS is a very forward-looking, it'll be a great opportunity for the people of Erie County. And hats off to Dan Laughlin, who got the language change that's unique for Erie County compared to Bethlehem and Lancaster and other places where the insurance premium tax is actually going to be included in that. So it will be almost immediately, they will hit the $15 million cap, which will be able to be used and leveraged for other resources to work on the downtown, to work in the contiguous and non-contiguous areas that they've included, which includes the zoo and some other areas. I mean, I think that the CRIS board, I would love to work with them hand in hand and not tell them what they should do, but listen to what the programs that they've been working on for months should be used to further development in Erie County.
Brenton Davis, what about the CRIS? What's the role of the county executive in supporting the authority? And do you have specific things you want to see happen with that?
Well, 100%. I mean, one, I was happy to support Senator Laughlin early on to help with my background in community economic development, to help draft that legislation and to steer that and to advocate at the state level to get that done. The county has minimal roles. We don't have any appointments. So despite what you just heard from my opponent, the executive can't tell anybody what to do. That's a separate board or a separate authority, and that does not have any appointments from the county. So I think the importance of investing in a vital downtown region in the CRIS, that's already showed early movement in terms of downtown investment, pairing it with things like the KIZ or the opportunity zones, all the different tax incentives that we have when we bring dozens of companies here from all over the world like we have this year to be able to invest. So that CRIS, making it available. Now, unfortunately, this first round of CRIS funding is actually almost like repaying debt. So they're taking out debt service to get moving early. So the earlier we can get moving to make these strategic investments downtown, stabilize our downtown region, and make it a vibrant place to live, work, and play, I think that's 100% critical. I think it's a great asset, and kudos to Senator Laughlin for getting that done.
Thank you.
Could I have a rebuttal on that?
Yes.
So a couple of things that I would like to clarify for the viewers. I mean, he's right that the county executive doesn't have any appointments on this board, and it is a authority that the county does not have, shouldn't be involved in, right? Which has not stopped him previously from trying to get board members off the redevelopment authority, which is try to get people off of the diverse Erie. He's been fighting with all these different organizations. Brenton Davis is over here, and everybody else is working together over here. I mean, the county, which is an important, vital role, needs to be part of the conversation and part of the, the team, and he won't do that.
So I should have a rebuttal there.
No.
So in terms of addressing that, so once again, my opponent shows she doesn't understand the roles, the boards, authorities, and commissions. The 50+ boards, authorities, and commissions that the county executive under the Home Rule Charter must oversee. And it's very clear, Section 5A in our Home Rule Charter, to supervise boards, authorities, and commissions. The CRIS is not a county board, authority, or commission. Every other commission, board, and authority she mentioned, diverse area that was self-dealing to give themselves money, the redevelopment authority, all falls under the supervision of the county executive because they are county-created boards, authorities, and commissions.
Good. Okay. Our next question now goes to county executive. A message from the Vogel campaign says, Erie County deserves better. In your mind, what is meant by that?
Well, I mean, to me, I have no interest in rebuttals from a campaign that doesn't bring any substance. And I think you're already seeing this here in this debate. And for the next 37 minutes, you're going to continue to see that. I mean, I'm not going to take any shots at somebody, because it's very difficult to step into the limelight, to put yourself out there, to take on the threats, the attacks, and, becoming an elected official. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to endure that you're never truly prepared for. I mean, the only thing I can focus on is the substance of what I've gotten done, what my administration has gotten done despite opposition and obstacles from political activists on county council. I don't attend the meetings because that's not the nature of the government. Just like the governor doesn't attend the state and house meetings, the president doesn't attend every congressional meeting. That is not the role of the county executive as a complete and utter separate branch of government. So, I mean, to me, we focus on what's better, bringing the energy, bringing dozens of companies here to invest, hundreds of millions of dollars of investment, opportunities for our kids and our grandkids. That's what we need to be talking about. Things of substance, economic development, helping our unhoused residents. We won a national award this year with our Community Resilience Center. Nobody had to sleep on the streets this year simply because of innovative thinking, turning an old work release building, a place of despair, into a place of hope. And these folks, we're coalescing, folks. Don't be distracted by the political rhetoric and the smoke and mirrors. We're getting stuff done.
Christina, if elected, how would you make it better? You say people deserve better. How would you make it better?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So here's how I would make it better. I mean, one, so I wouldn't have the 8 lawsuits that he has. I wouldn't divert money from critical services into an economic development department that hasn't brought in any results. He talks about how these people have come in from outside. No one is investing here. Over 85% of job growth is done by growing the businesses that already exist. It is not about bringing people in here. And you can see that because he's been trying for 4 years, traveling across the country on the taxpayer dime with no one coming in here. I mean, so one, I would get rid of a department that is moving critical services into the things that we need. I would not have all the lawsuits because I would work together with all the people that are involved. I would not lose revenue, which is what he continuously does, between the 2 grants at the health department that have been lost, tobacco cessation and the nursing mothers. And he won't work even with the outer county areas where he lost almost $900,000 grant for broadband in Corey. This county executive can't work with anyone. He is fighting with the city over the little houses that he talks about. He was fighting in my neighborhood in Fairview and Girard with the farmer where he won't let them farm the land. He is fighting with the library. He is fighting with county council. He is fighting with Diverse Erie. I mean, how many people? Leadership is not about how much you can fight. It is about how you get results for the people that you serve.
So I should get a rebuttal there because she mentioned me. So once again, my opponent shows she has absolutely no idea how the office of the county executive functions. I don't even know where to begin there because in that incoherent rambling of buzzwords of different issues. So things like the library. Look at the innovative thing. I invite you this Saturday to come down to watch the ribbon cutting for the CLEAR, supporting local universities. That's opportunities for our kids and our grandkids. Project Resolve, historic investment. $6 million, a $43 million return. Dozens of businesses here, which many are under NDA, but we see things like expansions in Corey. And if my opponent really knows how the office functions, we don't oversee local grants. So any grant in Corey, that's a decision of local leadership, not that of the county executive.
Okay, we're at the point we're going to switch who addresses which question first to which candidate. So let's stay on this subject, I guess, of business or business attraction. Do you think Erie County is business friendly If so, why? And if not, what can be done? You're talking about attracting jobs here. Can you give some concrete examples?
So, I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, the county executive must be the chief sales officer for the county, which is why we've invested things, like my opponent mentioned, traveling all over the country, which, mind you, the vast majority of that has been done over a NACO grant due to my leadership because I was elected as national chairman for the International Economic Development Task Force through our National Association of Counties. I've got other grants through economic mobility leadership, another NACO thing. So simply because you see somebody traveling, making efforts to bring home the bacon, as they call it, it's not costing you money. And again, it just shows somebody running for an office that doesn't do the simple research while proclaiming they're a budget expert. It's all there. All of it's there. The receipts, the grants, all of it. Our GIS department brings revenue under economic development. Our data center brings revenue under economic development. It helps things like the United Way and safe walkways for kids. It helps our municipalities map their utilities to save money and to save on consultants. I mean, it's an endless list of things that I could go line item for line item for line item. It's not as simple as just giving it back to the farmer. Everything that we do with leases has to be done with assessments. You have a fiduciary responsibility as the county executive to get the best price. So how is it that we can lease 2 small closets and a restroom in our community resilience center for $25,000 and make a sweetheart deal with a farmer for 186 acres for the same price? We would be sued over that. The county executive can't control who sues them, but you got to have the judgment to stand up and fight when necessary.
Just a quick follow-up here. I mean, you really wanted to attract new jobs and new companies here. You established your own office to do that alongside of the Redevelopment Authority. Do you feel like that's bearing fruit? Can you give some examples?
Well, 100%. I mean, and once again, you hear all these buzzwords. You hear redevelopment authority, you hear economic development. Somebody's got to coordinate it. The redevelopment authority is there to redevelop properties. It's things like the Coke plant. It's things like the 25-year historic investment that we see at the McCain Business Park. Yeah, the folks in Fairview didn't want it, so we moved it to McCain. It's very simple. You know, you look at all these different opportunities, and I look at economic development in terms of like an orchestra. You can have all the different instruments, but you need a maestro to lead it, or else this one's playing this song, this one's playing country music, while the drummer's jamming away at rock and roll. Somebody has to bring us all together on the same sheet of music, because I would say, look back historically. For the last 40 years, I would look at the viewers at home and say, are we better off than we've been for the last 40 years? Because our kids and our grandkids are leaving, our population shows it, and those that are too poor and too old will be left to sit here and pay taxes they can't afford if we don't bring something else home. And we're tireless and unapologetic about getting that done.
All right, thank you. Christina, the same question. Do you think Erie County is business friendly? If so, why? If not, why not?
So thank you for the question, Lisa. I would say this, I created my businesses out of nothing. I mean, I have over 30 employees right now. I have paid out over $4.5 million in wages in the last 9 years. As someone who has created a business here myself, I mean, there are things that are opportunities, but there are definitely ways that you can improve that. And you can do that with providing streamlined applications, working with making sure that infrastructure is set up for businesses to come here. But I also think that, when you look at, for me, I've been on the board of the community college since the beginning, and this is something that we have been working on, is getting workforce to align together with what is happening, to work with a lot of different businesses to get more people here and to align the current people that live here with what is here currently and what is coming. And as someone that's been involved with that from the beginning, so let me circle back. So there's the businesses, there's the community college. I would say the other thing that has happened right now is that you have this administration that has created its own economic development department, that hasn't brought anything to the table, in lieu of working with Infinite Erie, which was literally created to be that point person. This county executive will not work with them. Infinite Erie was created to bring all of those economic development engines together to amplify the resources that are limited in order to create jobs and provide opportunities for people that are here. And this administration won't do that.
So I should get a rebuttal. She mentioned me there. So, I mean, let's be clear. Once again, my opponent shows she has absolute no understanding of the role of the county executive. What you're hearing is she plans, if winning this office, she'll turn over and abdicate the authority of the county executive's office to a nonprofit that was created by the private sector. You can work with folks, but ultimately, You cannot pen a deal as Infinite Erie. You can't pen a deal and attract businesses. I can tell you 100% unequivocally that when CEOs from all over the world that have come here, they want to sit down with the chief executive officer of the county, they want to cut to the BS, and the buck stops with us. And that's what we've done.
Can I have a rebuttal on that as well? So again, the county executive just stated that he can't work with Infinite Erie, which was created for that. The county executive created his own department that did not exist. How did Erie County survive for decades without its own economic development department? It did that because of all the agencies that already exist, and he is trying to force his way into doing this when he's abdicating all the responsibilities that he should be doing for the work of the actual county, which is providing services for the people that live here, not creating its own department.
Someone I was mentioned, so I should get another rebuttal there.
I think we'll move on, Mike.
Okay, our next question goes to the county executive. With our port, rail, hospitals, international airport, top medical care, and education facilities, what is the best way, Brenton Davis, to market these assets in Erie County? What's the best way?
Well, I mean, we're already doing it. I mean, that's the sole purpose of our economic development department, to put all these things together. When you hear my opponent say that there aren't any successes, it's things like taking $6 million of your American Rescue Plan money, leveraging it with all 38 townships, and turning $6 million into $43 million. That's impactable. It's impactful. It's historic. It's never been done before. You know, it's going out and bringing in dozens of businesses. It's the folks like Current Deals looking at putting Hammermill completely back together as a site. It's investing in McCain Business Park. It's helping expand Corey Manufacturing, helping Troyer's Folkland get off the ground. You know, it's all those different things. You'll hear my opponent say she built her businesses from nothing. The reality is it was our very programs that we have that supported it. It's the city's loan program, it's the county redevelopment program, it's Harbor Creek's grants, and it's paycheck protection loans. It's all those things, but I think the taxpayers need to know, and if she's done her research, she knows that she can't assume office while having a loan with Erie County government. It's precluded by law, so hopefully we can clear that up here in the next couple months before the election.
Christina, your response to how do we best market these assets in Erie County?
Thank you for the question. I have to respond one thing though. You know, it's interesting to me because the county executive will continuously talk about the way that you build economic development or jobs, right, in a county is that you leverage the resources and you use that to turn it into jobs. Literally, that's what I've done. That's what I've done is taking these resources and created jobs. He is over here saying that's what he wants to do. That's what I have done. So how do we market it? Here, I'll say how we do that. We work with the organizations that are already in place to do that. One of the things that this administration has not done, again, when he talks about managed decline, I would turn his focus to Presque Isle, where President Trump and Mike Kelly were here in Erie and said that they would match the sand, $1.5 million. He didn't do it this year. This county executive didn't fight for that. The state stood up and did a little bit more. This is our biggest asset in the region where we have almost 5 million people that come here every year, and he has abdicated that responsibility, doesn't fight for it, didn't do anything to try to get that done here in Erie County. If he really had any interest in working for the people of Erie County, he should focus on the things that matter most for the people that live here.
I think we're going to move on to the community college. You both are involved in some way with the Erie County Community College. Can you say that it is succeeding in workforce development? Can you put any hard numbers to that? And is tuition still free, and will that be able to continue, or is that finished because of the COVID funds being spent?
Well, let's be clear. I mean, I was opposed to the community college from the very beginning because we still haven't answered the question of how are we going to pay for it. We continue to pay for it. But on topics of the community college, my opponent mentions lawsuits. Well, she's on the board of trustees, and she has been from the very beginning. The community college is no stranger to multiple lawsuits either. So, I mean, the fact that you look at lawsuits and leadership, you can't stop someone from suing. You can't stop someone from bringing a lawsuit. You can't stop someone from making an allegation, for that matter. But what you can do is control how you respond. Ultimately, I think when it comes down to community college, it's making lemons out of lemonade. I think there's folks at home that are on a fixed budget that have figured out a way to get their kids and their grandkids and their relatives and themselves through school. But I think there's a generation that we can take care of. So it's going to be a balance of, one, how do we pay for it? I think through accreditation is number one. Once we get through accreditation and I mean, I think there's a little uncertainty with the Department of Education at the federal level that if these opportunities don't exist or if they change, there could be some challenges. So, I mean, that's why we're working with folks like Allegheny Health, LECOM, St. Vincent, bringing a coalition of folks together to pay for their tuition, to provide opportunities and pay them a livable wage while they do it. I think my pathway of education is very much different from what you'll hear from my opponent. I don't believe the taxpayer should be footing the bill. I think we need to have public-private partnerships. Despite what you hear, we work with people, many people, and be able to provide these opportunities at a low cost or no cost to the taxpayer like we've done.
So just quickly, is the tuition still free?
The tuition is still free. There are reimbursements and grants and a foundation that works to cover those.
All right, Christina, turning to you regarding the community college, I know you have said you'd like to see some satellite campuses maybe on the Lower East Side. Talk about your plans for the community college, and should the tuition keep being free, who should be paying for that?
Thank you for that. So I just want to talk a little bit about the community college since I have been on it since the beginning. And as my opponent has talked about accreditation, which does have nothing to do with funding it. We are currently, so to answer all of your questions, one, we have about 820 people that are enrolled currently in the community college this semester. It is still free. 820, by the way, is higher than our projections, so it's doing very well. Having been on the finance committee most of the time, I can tell you it's financially solvent. Yes, it is currently still free. We currently have an application out with the Department for Financial Aid. We're working through that process. Once we do, hopefully we will get Pell Grant eligible, which means that people can receive $7,000, up to $7,000 per semester. And any difference in that would go back to them. So it would help them to pay for books, it would help them to pay for transportation and all these things, which will have a huge impact on the people that live here, which was why we wanted the community college in the beginning, right? Separately, I would add that most of the programs at the community college are now WIOA approved, which means that you can get, if you are out of work, you can go to the community college, take one of the go through one of the programs and get up to $5,500 one time to pay for that. And again, any leftover money would go back to the students. So yes, it is doing what it was supposed to do. One piece that since I've been on the board since the beginning, we have always looked at the Lower East Side. There is a huge group of people over there that definitely need this service, that need that. And so right now we have a satellite office with YLI, and we're trying to, we've always been trying to have an additional one over there.
Thank you.
Our next question is for the county executive. Brent, how would you improve veteran services and educational opportunities for local veterans?
Well, I think we've already done major steps. I mean, one, anybody who's ever served in the military and anybody that's ever had any kind of dealings with PTSD or, veterans that have, it's very traumatic for veterans to come into a courthouse, go through metal detectors, kind of be around the uniforms and things of that nature. So the first thing I did was I entered into a low-cost lease at the Bayfront. It makes it wheelchair accessible. Folks can pull right up out front. They can have our folks come out and assist them if they need to get into the office. But I think the best thing that we can do is support veterans all around, not just accessing county benefits, but federal benefits. We've got a great team of folks, 3 folks down there that have actually been able to bring back over $1 million per month in veterans benefits through their compensation claims. That's $12 million a year, and that number rises with every successful claim that comes back. So for us, we're an advocate. As a veteran myself, having served 23 years, we're tireless advocates. I got Joe Bonacci, retired first sergeant, down there, just unwavering advocacy for veterans, number one, and providing the different opportunities, working with Veterans Affairs, working with the state, working to provide other services that veterans need.
Christina, how would you improve educational opportunities for veterans?
So one of the things that we have been talking about that we would like to do is be able to get the GI Bill at the community college, so that there's an office there that they can use that right there again at the community college. The community college has really been an office to kind of fill the gaps of a lot of things that have been happening. That's what we're really working towards. I'm glad that the county executive brought up the lease though at the Intermodal Center where he moved the Veterans Affairs, which is a great building, not a problem. And I appreciate his service to the nation. My dad is also a veteran, and so is my grandfather. So I appreciate his service. I want to say that. But right now, the county moved this office. They are paying over $20 a square foot. Meanwhile, so the county is paying them right across the street. The Belasco Library, Gannon is paying us $7 a square foot. Every third grader knows that math doesn't add up. So yes, they moved it, great, that's fine. But if it was so important, why didn't they put it in the Blasco Library? Right now we have an entity in there that is taking public space for private use. It is a great, I've toured it, it's a great program, but it's also, we need to have an understanding of what is going on, and they need to be transparent with the people that are going to be affected by your decisions, and this county executive has never done that.
So just a rebuttal there. So number one, it's not $21 a square foot, it's actually $8. And also you have to look at, when you deal with veterans benefits, how on earth are you going to talk to veterans about the most traumatic experiences of their life in a public library? How are you going to do that? I mean, we handle HIPAA, we handle confidential medical information, we handle folks that can't go into public spaces due to their traumatic experiences. What you just heard was the greatest slap in the face to veterans.
All right, Christina, let's talk about Erie Coke. It's come up here a little bit today. What do you think should happen to the Erie Coke site? And would Erie be a good site for Navy shipbuilding? A recent op-ed by William Lewis thought so.
I mean, I think it would be worth exploring, right? And as county executive, that is something that you need to do, is work with other people to see what are the options that are available. I myself don't know anything about shipbuilding. I would guess he doesn't either, but I do think that this is our history. And so having the ability to make ships here, we did it before. It would be great if we could do it again. I mean, the Brig Niagara is currently in Massachusetts having repairs done, where it used to be here. The last time they had repairs done, they did them here. And so definitely anything that can bring jobs, especially high-paying, family-sustaining jobs, I would be welcome. I'm looking forward to talking with anybody to discuss that. As for the Coke plant, I mean, I know that in listening to different points of view and reading about it, it seems like it's going to be $70 million to revitalize that property, which, you know, again, I mean, it's something that is unfortunate, that needs to be thought through carefully and with taking into account all the different partners that are involved.
Oh, thank you. Brenton, what do you think should happen at the Erie Coke site? Do you have opinions?
So let's just talk about what's actually happening there. So, I mean, one, we utilized our redevelopment authority. So, again, as my opponent points out, the differences in the economic development climate. The redevelopment authority is there to do the heavy lift. So you can't expect folks to do something like a 20 or 30-year project like Erie Coke, the business park, and be our offensive team traveling all over attracting businesses. That's precisely why we have an economic development department. But talking to shipbuilders, like we already have at the Port Authority, talking to Norfolk Shipbuilding, talking to folks in the Department of Defense, folks like Sean Parnell, that are right at the right hand of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, that can make these decisions. We've talked to folks under the Secretary of the Navy. You know, I've got a lot of military contacts where this is possible, but you have to look at the limitations of what reality is. And our limitations for shipbuilding come in the Welland Canal. It's the depths and the widths of the Welland Canal and the St. Lawrence Seaway that will greatly mitigate what we can and can't do. So, I mean, I think we can build ship components. I think we can build things like submarines, frigates, potentially destroyers and minesweepers. But when it comes down to it, there's a vibrant history of shipbuilding here, but we're limited by billions of dollars of infrastructure it would take to build these larger ships. So we can look at maybe the shipbuilding components, maybe building gun turrets that can be put onto ships and shipped to Norfolk and other places. We're a strategic location. However, it's very far off as we work with the federal governments, EPA, and these folks to look at getting Superfund money that would take that $70, $80, $100 million to mitigate it, to get it to an industrial standard.
Just a quick follow-up. Are you talking about components built by existing manufacturers? Here we already have those with defense contracts and doing something else with the Coke site?
So I would say it's all of the above. You know, I mean, ultimately it's the deal between the Port Authority, the Redevelopment Authority, and county government and all the partners involved that determine as a collective where this goes. I think there's potential for investment there, talking to folks at the Department of Defense, that there is the possibilities there, but I think we can one, build our existing economy for the manufacturers that are already here, but we can attract other investments, whether that's Raytheon, whether that's Norfolk Shipbuilding, you know, whether that's these other defense contracts. We have a lot of strengths, we need to leverage them.
Thank you.
Brent, next question is for you. Funding for emergency medical services has been a priority. Why is EMS important? Where will the funding for improvements come from?
Well, I'd say you look no further than the last two budgets. I mean, one that her cronies on council are suing over. I put $2.5 million in life-saving services for your family, for your loved ones, for an ambulance when and where you need it. And these folks that are suing me, they're literally suing me to stop that funding. That's the opposition that we're talking about. That's money that did not go out because these folks choose politics over saving your loved ones' lives. EMS, 40% of the time, the previous administration didn't track data, didn't know how many missed 911 calls we had. We're at almost 20% of missed 911 calls. That's dropped calls for service that weren't received. When I came into office, we immediately began tracking that, changed policies to ensure that we knew who was in service and who was out of service. That immediately resulted in a 33% faster ambulance service to you and your loved ones when and where you need it, just simply by a policy change. We've shown that the $2.5 million that we have successfully invested has increased or decreased that response time from 20% dropped calls down to less than 1% to 2% on average. That's a huge return. That's a huge improvement in our system. And if you choose to elect me again to continue this work, we will unapologetically support our fire and EMS services to provide the life-saving services that you and your family need when and where you need it. Because let's face it, the time to invest in ambulances isn't when you're laying on the ground clutching your chest.
Christina, where should the funding come from for improvements?
So thank you for this question. It is very important. You know, I live in Fairview. I have a business in Harbor Creek. I mean, anywhere that I go, I would like to be in the county. I would like to be able to call 911 if needed and get a response there. A couple of things that my opponent has said that are out of context. One is that I've met with 6 different fire departments throughout the county so far, and I have tours with several of the other ones. Whereas this county executive has gone and given press releases for money, but then has not given them the check. This county executive, there was organizations, there were fire departments that were doing very well, that were answering 100% of their calls, that then when he came in and decided we're going to have West County and do all these different things and force our way in, now things have deteriorated. There is the transformational grant that, and first of all, I have to explain too, the county council is not stopping this. They are stopping the illegal vetoes that were happening. So to say that they are stopping this is really misinformation for the voters. Likewise, you know, there's a transformational grant that he talks about where he gave $150,000 for an ambulance for West County. East County said they would like $150,000, and instead of writing the check out of the grant, which he could have done, which would have taken 30 seconds, he got into a fight with county council, tried to get them to move it from the general fund. All they wanted to know from everything that I've read is that what was already being allocated, and he wouldn't do that. And eventually, what did he do? Wrote the check, 30 seconds.
All right, we're going to change gears here, and Christina, this question is for you first. We're going to talk about the problem of homelessness. What is the role of county government in addressing the homeless problem in our region? We know the prison pre-release center is being used, at least for the warming shelter. There are some other ideas on the table. Has there been any reduction in homeless stats that you know of from any of the initiatives underway?
Thank you for the question. You know, homelessness is such a complex issue that really it needs to be addressed for the people that are the most vulnerable. And actually, from 2023 to 2024, I may have those 2 years wrong, it increased 90%, the number of unhoused people, to 94 people from 60 something. So I have to get the actual numbers. No, it's gotten worse. And the county executive, to his credit, opened the Resilience Center. But when I have gone out and talked to the people that are on the front line looking at homelessness as an issue, they have said the single biggest thing that could help them would be to make the County Resilience Center open 24 hours a day, 12 months a year. And instead of doing that, instead of going through the procurement process or the RFPs, he is now offering a $1 lease for organizations to kind of usurp the things that are already in place to try to work with this, to work to help this very vulnerable population. Likewise, you can see on 16th and Parade, the tiny homes that he's in a fight with city council or with city government because he wouldn't put the permits through. As someone who has built 3 businesses, I can tell you, I've had to put complete plans to BIU. I saw those back in April at least. It is now getting to where it's going to be winter. They should be in those homes. The project itself is not a problem, but all 3 of my businesses submitted open plans, submitted the complete plans. They were open 6 months later. It's been over 6 months. Nothing has happened. He won't submit the plans. He won't submit the complete plans. And as a result, our unhoused people are suffering and will continue to do so.
Thank you. I'm going to turn this question to you. So you have worked on the homeless problem in the county, at least the warming shelter overnight. You have some other ideas to want to make wraparound services and a more long-term solution. But you're not the only one trying to tackle this program in our community. Do you see any progress? I mean, the homeless problem is still really visible even before the cold weather gets here.
Yes, I mean, once again, you just heard from my opponent nearly a completely incoherent rambling of the understanding or lack thereof around the homeless issue. You know, I don't control what goes on day to day in any of these entities. What I did is build a coalition. So the CRC was a collaboration of hundreds of individuals and volunteers that won this national award. You know, so I mean, it isn't about the county executive, the tiny homes, 100% not true. We just flagged the locations, we're getting the utilities in the ground, and we're working through building codes that are modernized. I don't want to focus on the peddly things about codes because one, the codes just changed, and two, we're working through them. But nobody should spend money, number one, without a plan. That's clear, and it's clear, that's obvious the taxpayers deserve that. I'm not going to spend money unnecessarily when there's a better pathway where we can get more housing, where we can provide for more. And the numbers that she quotes, I mean, I wish it was only 90 people because we can house 300 in that center, we'd solve that problem tomorrow. The actual point in time count is over 1,250 homeless youth, and there's about that many in terms of homeless adults. Chronic homeless are over 1,000 in Erie County. 100%, we've got to address it head on. And what she talks about opening that center day to day, we already have released that RFP. We did offer it for $1. We're not looking to make money off the backs of homeless people. We're looking to provide services, solve problems, and work with other entities. So if we've got the organization that can step forward to do that, we're waiting on the RFP, we'll award it, and we'll be up and running in November.
Christina, this next question will start with you. What is your plan in case there's another major snowstorm like last year? How would you rate the job Erie County did last year around Thanksgiving 2024?
You know, having lived here now 12 years, I will tell you that some, you know, obviously you don't know, right? Some years there's a lot of snow, some years there isn't any snow. I mean, what I would have done is, I will say this, there are things that the county executive I felt did well, and there are things that I felt like he did not so well. We were open many of those days. Most businesses were closed. I had opened my stores. I was giving pizza, delivering it to the snowplow drivers all across the county for free. And I would have accepted all the help that would have been available to me, including FEMA dollars, which this county executive did not take. And I wouldn't have sent my plows over to different parts of the county that I wanted, instead of focusing on working with the people that were already in the city working on clearing the streets there. So again, I would collaborate with everyone, understand what makes the most sense so we can get the most people in their jobs to keep the economy going.
Brenton, if it happens again, what is your plan?
Once again, you hear she has absolutely no understanding and no plan. So the county owns no plows, so I didn't send any plows anywhere. What we did is we stepped into a void where there is no clear leadership role. That's what the county executive must do. In the absence of leadership, whether it's COVID, whether it's tornadoes, 38 wildfires, into record snowfall, homelessness, whatever it is. That was the single largest PennDOT operation in state history that you saw. When the mayor was absent, I stepped into that role. I was in there at 1 o'clock in the morning, providing every PennDOT service from clear to Philadelphia, all the way across the state, to help residents dig out. The previous executive, what took her 10 days, we did in 5 with more snowfall and 24-hour period. We're ready to hit the ground running, whether it's 38 wildfires, whether it's COVID, whether it's EF2 tornadoes. My administration has proven that we have the leadership, we have the experience, and we have the knowledge. And when we talk about working with folks, we utilized money, gaming revenue money, because this overtime would have crippled some of these small townships. We worked with cities like Corey and Greenfield and all these folks that weren't affected by the snow. We brought plows in as far as Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. We paid the tab and helped out our communities to keep our taxes low, because if not, that $500,000 in some of these townships that went into overtime would have inevitably raised their taxes. You know, so to me, being county executive is about stepping into the void in the absence of leadership and delivering every single time, and I've done that.
All right, we're going to have a lightning round here on a difficult question before we go to closing statements. As the nation wrestles with this immigration issue, our region has a large new American population. Short answer, are we doing enough to help those people become citizens, be part of our community?
Well, anybody that comes here legally, we have funding available to utilize those things. I think if you come here legally, we have a lot of success stories of immigrants that come here legally, start a business, and do what they need to do.
All right, quickly, are we doing enough to help our new Americans in our community?
No, and I just met with the leaders of the Bosnian community last week, actually, and even those that have green cards are afraid. And we need to be able to get, I mean, some people are waiting for years, decades to get citizenship in the United States.
Christina, where do you see the county in 4 or 8 years from now?
I mean, I see the county, I would ask people how they feel the last 4 years, and I would see the county as somewhere that is where people feel that the county actually responds for them, the county serves them, there isn't so much fighting, in lawsuits, and dysfunction.
So, I mean, to me, it's very simple. I mean, we've shown that we're tried and true. We have the experience, we have the leadership. You know, you might not like some of the methods, you know, but we've just shown that no matter where in government, there's always infighting, there's always politics. But despite opposition and obstacles, my administration has delivered for you, the taxpayers at home, every single time. I've watched out for your budgets, I've delivered during the disasters, I unmasked your children, and I returned freedom to the people to reopen their businesses. We're tried and true, and I'm asking for 4 more years in your vote.
Time now for our closing statements. Brenton, I believe you're first.
So, I mean, I'll just touch on the things that we've done. I think this debate was clear. I think you see who has the experience, who has the leadership and education, who has the network to hit the ground running. The true understanding of how government works, not only just how it works, but who to talk to, where to go. On a historic, I go to the White House 4 times a year, regardless of whether it's been President Biden or President Trump. I'll work across the aisle. I'll work with anybody who wants to move our community forward in a positive manner. But make no mistake about it, the military taught me one thing. You choose your battles. You know, you choose your battles and you fight the fights worth fighting. And I think standing up for your tax dollars, standing up for your kids, standing up for kids that need to be adopted, and standing ultimately for saving your tax dollars, that's what I've proven I can do. And when disaster strikes, we stand ready. The Davis administration delivers. I'm asking for your vote, whether by mail-in or on November 4th. Let's get to work.
Christina?
Erie County can't afford 4 more years of Brenton Davis. His failed leadership has cost us, the taxpayers, hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and settlements. His inability to work with county council has resulted in lawsuits. I'm sorry. He has diverted over almost $1 million from critical services to an economic development department that has shown no results. His inability to work with anyone other than himself and his reliance on bad deals has resulted in the largest tax increase in generations. As Erie County Executive, I'll restore trust and accountability to county government. I will work in good faith with County Council, even when we disagree, to find compromise and deliver real results. I will work with business leaders, workforce organizations, and educational institutions to grow our economy from the inside out, provide opportunities for the people that live here and keep them here in Erie. Above all, I will lead with collaboration and respect because I know Erie County works best when we all work together. And that is why I'm asking for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Well, thank you to our candidates, and on behalf of Erie News Now and WQLN, we want to thank you for joining us for this debate.
Yeah, we remind everyone, get out and vote on November 4th, and mail-in ballots must be into the voter office by 8 p.m. on election night.
We hope we helped you make informed decisions. Thank you for watching.